Hey guys, this is T with CharlaMaKayev.com. How are you? I hope you're having a great week. So I wanted to get on here because I know the holiday season's hard for a lot of people because they're missing loved ones, and it's a hard season for me as well. And I feel because of that, because of what I've been through, I've lost both parents, I feel that it's my responsibility to discuss this, because a lot of people talk about the wonder and the joy of a holiday season, and while it is wonderful, for some people it's not, because they are grieving a loved one's death and they're missing someone, or they're lonely, they feel alone, they feel like they have no one to turn to. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background on me and what led me to take antidepressants, and then also give you a solution to antidepressants. So basically, since I can remember, I lost my dad when I was a baby. When I was about 19, I remember having a real just moment of feeling like I just didn't even want to live. And I remember telling my mom that basically I didn't want to live. I won't go into the specifics, but I didn't try anything, but I just had a lot of anger. Hello, Encore. Which was really depression, because of how, I believe it's because I didn't have my dad, because there was no other explanation at the age of 19, because I had a wonderful life, I had a loving mom, I had, a great education, I had pretty much everything that I would need. So it started with that, but really I feel like my depression was more situational, because outside of that, it pretty much kind of seemed to go away. And then right about the time of my mom getting really sick, where I became a caregiver to her, and I was, hey Sonia, and I was taking care of my mom, that is when the depression really came on full force. It was a hard time with the recession, with this big writing career that I'd had. It was a hard time at the same time my mom was, having a heart attack and becoming debilitated. I was just stressed out about finances, because then I decided I was going to take care of my mom, so it would kind of put my career on hold. There was a lot that went into it, but I became so depressed at a point that I remember I literally, I'm not exaggerating, I could not force a smile. I was always like, just that. I probably have lines here a little bit from doing that a lot of my life, but literally, like, I couldn't even smile if my life depended on it. I remember specifically because I was fit modeling at the time. I was taking care of my mom, but I would go on fit modeling jobs. And I remember going to lunch and meeting this other fit model that I had met, on a go see, basically, which is like an audition in fit modeling in the modeling industry. And I remember wanting to try and have a friend and stuff, because I felt depressed. I mean, I had friends, but I had lost touch with people, because people really don't want to deal with you when you're a caregiver to somebody and they have their own lives and you can't go out and do fun things. So I remember just meeting up with this girl and literally talking to her. She was a total stranger, and not even being able to smile. And, hey Marie, how are you, my dear? Bonsoir, bonjourné. And I just remember feeling like, what the hell is wrong with me? And I had a boyfriend at the time, and he was very antidepressants. He said, don't take it. Hey, Daylene, it's going to mess with your head. It's really going to screw you up. And I didn't see a way out, because I had a medical doctor who, of course, was telling me, oh, just take some antidepressants. It's not going to last long. It's just temporary, right? And that really is dependent upon your circumstances. It's not always temporary. And, oh, hey, Sonia. Sonia's chiming in here that she deals with depression, and I know a lot of people do. And like I said at the beginning, it's a holiday season. I know people deal with this now, so I feel responsibility to talk about it. But so my doctor kind of played it off. It's no big deal. Get on antidepressants. You'll get right off of it. You'll be on it maybe for a few months, maybe a year, and then you'll be done with it. Meanwhile, my ex-boyfriend, or boyfriend at the time, is saying, don't do this. It's going to mess with the chemicals in your head. And I totally know what he was saying, but I felt like backed into a corner. I felt like, how am I going to get out of this? I can't even force a smile. Like, what's wrong with me? And I was under a tremendous amount of stress, like major life stresses all at the same time, several of them. So it's only made sense that I would feel that way. But long story boring, she put me on something called Celexa. And what doctors don't tell you is, with a lot of antidepressants, outside of these disgusting side effects, which you could become suicidal by being on them, or more depressed, what they don't tell you is that you can gain weight too. Well, I've never met a woman that wanted to gain weight. I'm not one of them. And that just makes you more depressed when you've gained weight. So you're depressed, and on top of it, you're getting chunky monkey, so then you're even more upset. So basically, I was like the girl that was teased in school for being too skinny. My cheeks were concave. literally like that. I was skin and bones. And I was still like a size 2 at this time. Well, I gained 40 pounds within a very short period, maybe a year or two. I was the heaviest of my life. I was not feeling much less depressed. I could force a smile at this point. But yeah, Marie's saying she's against antidepressants. I am too. And I'm going to explain a bit more why. I mean, they did kind of save me at that time. Yes, and Sonia's talking about something that I'm just about to get into, CBD oil. But so basically, I gained 40 pounds. I didn't feel good. I could force a smile, but I wasn't feeling happy. So antidepressants, a lot of people have a misconception. They think that it's a happy pill. That's not how it works. In fact, a lot of people on antidepressants feel robotic. They feel like, you almost feel like you just have no sensation, no emotion, period. So it's almost like you're just completely blank. And it cuts out the pain, but you don't feel anything. You don't feel emotion, happiness, sadness, like you're just kind of numb. And so I went through life like that for, gosh, I'd say about 8 years. My mom died 4 years ago, so I was still on antidepressants. I absolutely positively feel if I wasn't on them at that point, I was already suicidal on antidepressants when she died. So you can only imagine if I had not been on them. But all along I was taking all these pills. I moved to something called Wellbutrin, which is actually, because I researched, I'm like, I'm gaining weight, I'm feeling worse about myself. So there's only a couple, but Wellbutrin is one that actually causes you to either maintain your weight or lose weight because it's got a stimulant effect. So it actually is not great if you have anxiety because it can actually exacerbate that. But I was desperate. I felt like I still needed one, antidepressant, and I felt like I still needed something, but I didn't want to be gaining weight, so I went to Wellbutrin. And okay, so I was on Wellbutrin for a while, and my mom passed away, and I stayed on antidepressants. And I just was thinking about it. I had a friend who was selling CBD oil and was talking about it. In fact, even a year prior to this, I had a functional MD. When I had this major anxiety attack, I went into a place where there's the doctors, they're for marijuana. They're, sorry, not functional MD, just an MD where they give you a license. And here it's legal in California now. But a medical marijuana license because I wanted to talk to him about it. He said, get on CBD oil. And I thought, that sounds disgusting. I don't want to take oil every day. That sounds gross. So instead I got gummies and stuff, and it just kind of took the edge off, but it wasn't really helping the problem because they're psychoactive. Obviously I would take an extremely small amount when I knew I wasn't going to really drive somewhere. But essentially the problem with depression is it's something internal. So it's not necessarily, hey Michelle, it's not necessarily you take something and it goes away. So, but what I discovered was CBD oil. A friend of mine was selling it, and I went to the dispensary, and it was actually what the doctor had recommended, who I didn't listen to a year before, and went back and I tried it, and I've been on that ever since. Now, I'm not going to say I never get depressed. That would be a lie. I'm not going to say it's completely resolved things. That would be another lie. But I will say that I feel so much better. I actually did something which is a no-no, so I'm just going to say right in the middle of this, I should have said at the beginning and at the end, I'm not a doctor, obviously, so you need to see your own doctor about this. I can't advise you if you're currently on meds whether or not you should be taking CBD oil. Technically, it shouldn't interplay with a lot of things, but you do have to be careful because then I've read elsewhere it can intermingle in a bad way with some medications, so it's kind of, I don't know. But for me, I was on the antidepressant and I said, I am just done with this. One day it was Wellbutrin. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of combined the CBD oil with it, which is probably a no-no, but I just didn't care anymore. And so I came off of that Wellbutrin, and not even taking it, I didn't even notice a difference. Now, I believe just from what I'm remembering that I was starting to take CBD oil, but not majorly. So that just goes to show, here I'm taking not a high dosage, but maybe a medium dosage of this Wellbutrin, and I get off of it, and I don't even feel any different. And, there's so many negative side effects, right? So I turned to CBD oil, and like I said, I'm not gonna lie, it's not like erased everything because depression is like an emotional issue. It's also biochemical, but I feel like CBD oil is prime and amazing for anxiety. I know people use it for depression, so I kind of done that. I don't feel like it's got this significant antidepressant effect, but what it does is it takes the edge off. And I just want to encourage people who are on pharmaceuticals to, you got to check with your doctor because I'm not a doctor. However, I do believe in East meets West, but I'm starting to get anti-pharmaceutical kind of. And it's only because when I took care of my mom, when I was a caregiver to her, I saw all the medications I was giving her. She took about 20 pills a day. Oh, and they actually thought I was a nurse at one point, the doctors, because like I was like, oh yeah, she takes Coreg 3.25, she takes Namenda, and I was telling them all these drugs, and they're like, are you a nurse? I'm like, no. But it made me see, so I hate and love the drugs, because in one side, my mom was at the point, past the point of no return, where I feel like the drugs actually did keep her alive at that point, but I feel like they also killed her. Like, it was two separate things, because then they just cause more problems. So I feel like if you're in dire circumstances, pharmaceutical drugs are there for a reason, and I do feel like they're warranted at some point. But I feel like if you're not in dire circumstances, that you should try the alternative natural at first, unless like literally it's a life or death situation, then of course take the drugs. But if it's not, then you should try CBD oil. And if you want to know what I'm taking, you're more than welcome to DM me and I'll tell you. I take more of a dosage than anybody I know. I have very extreme anxiety, so it keeps me going well, and I have other things I take along with that, but primarily I wanted to bring that up because I'm in a lot of grief groups and depression groups, anxiety groups, and I see people struggling with this. I see people talking about antidepressants and Lexapro and this one, Effexor, and this one and that one, and they're just feeling so overwhelmingly depressed. It doesn't mean, now I'm going to say, some people may not like me saying this, but CBD oil is not going to work for everyone. And I know this because I've researched it. It's just like anything else. It doesn't necessarily work for everyone. It works for the majority of people, though, probably 95% of people. There might be some people out there that don't respond to it, and this is from research that I've done. But generally speaking, it is the better alternative to at least attempt before you go the pharmaceutical route. So if you've never taken an antidepressant, I would just tell you to kind of listen to what I'm saying, because I've been through it and I didn't know about CBD oil back then. I had no clue it even existed. Had I known, I would have tried that first. I would never have put myself taking all these chemicals, because frankly, I don't know if maybe they cause other physical ailments. I've had other physical problems. I had adrenal fatigue and all these other things. I don't know maybe if my antidepressants messed my body up so much that they cause that, because it's not just biochemically, they can cause effects throughout your body, right? So that is one thing I did. The other thing is I did something called EMDR therapy. So combined together, CBD oil and EMDR therapy are what I would suggest for someone with depression if the depression stems from something traumatic. A lot of people don't know anything about EMDR therapy. I've done several videos. You're welcome to search my page for EMDR. I go into it more specifically, or you can type in eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I may have typed the full name. But it's a form of therapy that basically helps you unlock that traumatic moment. So if you're traumatized, for me, it was the moment my mother died was trauma. And I've had other things. So you do one traumatic event at a time with your therapist. They guide you with their fingers. Your eyes are watching their fingers. So just your eyes are looking back and forth. And it's basically about your left brain and your right brain kind of working together and reprocessing. It sounds very strange, but just the eye movements alone help you reprocess information. It's kind of like if you think about your laptop and your laptop has a virus and it's frozen, it's not working. That's basically how you are walking around in the world and society when you're depressed and you haven't dealt with a situation. If you're traumatized by something, you are walking around like a computer that's frozen with a virus. And that's why you cannot restart. You can't recalibrate, and you're wondering what? That's why. Because what happens is when you go through a traumatic moment, as I mentioned, the moment's frozen in time. What happens is your body and your mind is so overwhelmed by what's happening that it stays literally frozen in your brain. You don't process it properly. And so when people don't go through therapy like EMDR and actually process through those emotions, your body just holds on to it. And so you can never get past the depression. It's something that's proven. So I would definitely suggest that also as an alternative as well. A combination of the CBD oil and the EMDR therapy for me has been life-saving. I didn't know what EMDR was. I found it by myself. Nobody talks about it. I've never heard about it before. And it's not like talk therapy. EMDR is literally, it took me 9 sessions to deal with this issue with my mom. If you watched any of my videos from exactly a year ago, where I was talking about depression over the holidays, I started crying, I think, in one of them at the very end. I was in a completely different place. Am I thrilled my mom's not here and my parents? No. Am I depressed? Do I still cry? Yes, but I'm not overly depressed. What happened in those 9 sessions is by the end of it, the therapist determined by questions she asked me and talked to me and working with me that I was at a point where, is it ever going to be 100% gone? No. But I was at a point where it was much more manageable, where she felt like it was okay to stop dealing with that particular event. And I agree. Like, I will always be sad about it, but it was astounding. I'm just telling you, find an EMDR therapist if you're depressed and it's based on traumatic event like rape, some drug type thing, like maybe you overdosed. Obviously, that would be traumatic, or someone in your family, or like a 9/11 type event, or it could be, just anything that is crazy, like traumatic, like being held at gunpoint or something, or watching someone die in front of you. It can't just be a regular, I feel a little depressed, because I lost my job, unless it's like something that's so traumatized that you can't move past it. That's the type of event you go there for. Hey, Nadia, I think that's you. Yes, it is. So that's what I would suggest. Those two things combined, I would never go back. Thanks for the hearts, Levy. I would never go back on antidepressants if you put a gun to my head. I wouldn't. Even now I'm so anti-drugs that the doctors hate me. Because I'm actually going to see, because, women obviously start having issues with hormones and stuff. I'm going to make it sound like I'm 90 over here, but hey, sweetie. But I'm going to see an endocrinologist about that. I'm going to see what they have to say about that, my hormones and stuff. But if they try and offer me something to take, I'm going to say, no, thank you. I just want to know what your perspective is, what you think, and then I'm going to go find a natural solution. So always know, I know a lot of people have heard about St. John's wort. That's very popular. I've actually never taken that, to my knowledge. I may have very briefly. That is not something that I love because it conflicts with a lot of foods. You can't have, like, I believe it's smoked meat or cheese or like things like that when you take St. John's wort. It's really strange, but like I love to eat, so that was like a no-go. I'm also taking GABA now. And then Nadia saying that she was also, her doctor tried to put her on antidepressants when her dog passed away. I think you mean your dog, right, Angel? The problem is with Western medicine is that they do help a lot, and they're there in the ER, obviously, like if you have like your car accident, it's amazing, or if you have a heart attack. But the problem is their go-to is just to put you on some drugs and send you shuffling away. Hey, Jess, and that doesn't solve the solution. It's a Band-Aid. And then underneath, if you haven't gone to therapy and dealt with all the trauma, you're never going to get past whatever the issue is. And the thing with talk therapy that's also bad is, at least for me, when I talk about my feelings, I feel like I need to talk about it. But when I would leave, I went to talk therapy at this kind of like community-based place because I was going so frequently. It was very affordable, and I just said, I'm just going to do that. That's where my mom had gone when my dad had passed away. And I went there, and I just noticed when I was leaving every time that I felt worse and worse. Like I was just talking and basically letting it out and complaining, and sometimes that's necessary, but I think because the therapists weren't very well trained and they were like more student therapists, and it was only talk therapy, they didn't do any other modality. I think that it was just like I felt more negative. Like, oh, I complained. Oh, my mom's not here. Oh, I'm depressed. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And I try to always look at the positive, but they would be like, They would just sit there like, listening, nothing. Now my EMDR therapist, she's a highly skilled psychologist, but she also, even the talk therapy is way better than her. She's more quality, 100 million times. But it's beyond that. It's the EMDR that's helped more than the talk therapy. Sometimes you have to get things off your chest, but it's not sufficient. It's, like I said, the reprocessing of the emotions that you've never processed because of trauma. And it's important that you do this now, because every time the holidays roll around like this, these are just triggers. It doesn't matter what happened to you. The holidays are always just triggers for people, because it's really hard to always see these commercials and people like joyful in movies and like laughing by a fireplace, in this beautiful white house in the snow, and you're going out in the malls and everything's cheery and happy. And if you have any negative feelings about anything that you've been through, it makes you more depressed, because you get the perception that everybody else around you is just so happy and they have a perfect life, and that you have all this misery. And so it magnifies the whole situation. So it's making you depressed. And Nadia is saying, yeah, it's just this whole like holiday thing is not necessarily all chipper, and nobody has a perfect family, but there are people who do have something close to that. I know some, and so it's happy for them, but other people get sad. So the long end to this video is basically, if you're going to take an antidepressant, you can do whatever you want, but you really better think it through well, because the thing is, when they put me on an antidepressant, all this nonsense about, oh, you know, you just be on it for a year or two and you get off of it. 8 years later, like, no one's tried to help me to get off of the antidepressant. No one. Nobody came around and said, oh, Tarla, I'm still going to the doctors. It's not like they haven't seen me in 8 years. They're not saying, well, you know, we should think about getting off of this. They don't care. Once you're on it, you're on it. That's it. Well, I'm not okay with that. And then, you know, I am getting older like everyone else, and it messes up with your body. So the moral of the story here is to try and avoid pharmaceuticals unless it's an absolute necessity. If you're suicidal, though, please consult a suicide hotline, consult your doctor, consult a priest, consult your friends, your family, anybody. Like, so this is not if you're suicidal. I'm not saying to just take CBD oil, because that's a problem beyond this that you want to consult someone on. But if you just have maybe mild to moderate depression, at least try the CBD oil. If it's very severe, then, you know, you have to talk to your doctor, because I'm not a doctor. I can't medically advise you. But Nadia is saying it's true that the doctors push drugs. You know, they make kickbacks on drugs. They're making money every time, you know, they write you a prescription, and they've had a deal with a vendor basically for these pharmaceuticals, which I think most people know. But they do lie. Sonia's saying they lie. I went to a cardiologist recently, and he said, your blood pressure's high because of it never was high, never my whole life. And now, because of my anxiety, it goes up and then down. It's not consistently high. It's because of anxiety. Trying to put me on a high blood pressure medicine. Didn't really care that I said no. He's a great, very well-known, top-rated doctor, but like, I don't want to be on pills. I just don't. And you have to think about long-term effects in your body, because the more that you take this, it piles on top of each other. You know, your liver has to process it just as though you were drinking alcohol, right? It's something that has to be processed. It's just another thing for your body to do. And again, it can be causing all kinds of nasty side effects. So definitely consult your doctor, but a medical doctor, I'm just going to tell you right now, is never going to tell you to go on a CBD oil. It's not in their interest to tell you that. You need to go see a functional MD. A functional MD takes East meets West. They are an actual medical doctor that went to medical school, but they're called a functional MD because they also believe in herbs and supplements. So when you go to them, they look at all sides. They look at you as a whole person, not just drugs. They look at everything, and they can adequately help you, or a naturopath, but that's not an MD. I would find it's called a functional MD. Go to them, see if they can put you on a CBD oil, inquire about it, and see what they say based on your history and all. And I can't consult you because I don't know what your diseases are, and again, I'm not a doctor. And then see what they say. And then you can get it at a dispensary. Of course, if it's legal, this has to be legal where you live. And I forget, because I live in California, everything's like legal here. So make sure whatever country, state, whatever you live in, of course, that you're doing this legally. And then try EMDR therapy. Again, EMDR therapy was life-saving to me. I just did all this stuff in the last couple of years. I didn't know about this my entire life. I wish somebody had come on a video like this that I had seen and told me about it, because it's like a hidden secret no one talks about. I went to therapists for many years. No one ever said anything about EMDR. They talk about CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, but nobody talks about EMDR. Yes, Sonia, it's a functional MD, yeah. So that's just what I wanted to tell you. Look into EMDR therapy. There's also a new form of therapy, not new to me. I've heard about it, but I didn't know much about it. And I'll do a video on it at some point when I learn a little bit more. It's called brain spotting. It's got a similar kind of idea behind EMDR. It has to do with your eyes and eye movement. I know it sounds so strange, but we don't completely understand how our bodies totally work. But like, even if you think about when you're dreaming, when you go into REM, when you're sleeping, REM, your eyes are moving back and forth very quickly. And that's actually why you dream. You're processing information. So basically EMDR is almost like, I'll liken it to a waking version of REM in a way. Okay, that's just me saying that, but that's the way I would liken it. So just wanted to share that again, because I know the holidays are difficult for a lot of people. I see people struggling in these grief and depression groups, and I know a better way. Again, not perfect. Do I never cry? Am I never depressed? Am I never sad? No, I still get depressed and sad, but nothing like I was before. And you can only do the best you can do, so just try these types of things. Hey, is it Tiana? And let me know how they go for you. If you do CBD oil, again, just DM me if you want my recommendation for what I use. And if you do try EMDR therapy, please message me, because I'd actually like to know and hope that this helps people. Okay, so I just want to leave that message because, again, the holidays are a hard time for people. And if you look at my videos again last year, I looked different. I was crying at the end of one of them. I was starting to cry. As you can see, I look totally fine. I feel so much better this year. And it's because of the CBD oil and the EMDR therapy. So just something to consider if you're struggling. But again, I have to say this again for the 50th time, you got to consult your own doctor, because I am not a medical doctor and I cannot dispense advice to you over the internet. I don't know anything about you and I'm not a doctor. But I would consult a functional MD, and then I would find an EMDR therapist. Talk therapists should know about that, but they may not. I don't, depending on where you live. So Google it. You should find someone in your area if you live in a city. And I hope it works out for you. Let me know. Keep me posted and have a good evening. Take care.